Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the BFG Podcast. Today, me and Jonathan are here to review Wellington Phoenix Men versus Brisbane Roar. Hello, Jonathan.
Hey Blake, hey world viewers.
So what do we think of the game against the Brisbane Roar?
I think it was. I had said during the week in the preview to the game that I thought that Brisbane were vulnerable because they had played away in Perth on Wednesday night. And I think that proved to be true. They were vulnerable last night, and the Knicks were able to capitalise on that and came away with 3 points. What was your view of the game?
Well, we're top four now, so I'm pretty pleased, around that 5th, 4th, 6th sort of place. So we're with the last quarter of the season coming up, I reckon we're almost solidly in that 6th. We may not get top 4, top 3, but we're definitely going to get 6 a game, which is quite nice in back-to-back seasons.
Yeah. And what was quite good too last night is like when we're looking at the team depth. So the team depth we've got is great. So we had Pennington and Crave who were out sitting in suspension for a week. We had Scott Wooten who was sick, who was unavailable, but we had Laws come in, Rufa came in, Mirages came in, and we did pretty good, And Barbarousis came in, off the bench and into the field started, and we did pretty good. So I think those, if we, as you say, Blake, in the top 6, we've got good depth going into some of those games. Should we lose anyone else to suspension for, after 5 yellow cards or if someone gets injured?
Now we'll get back to the game in a minute, but I just want to skip right to the end where, speaking of fighting and incident, we had a bit of a, I don't know if you saw it, a bit of a altercation right at the end there. Are you surprised after the week before to do with consistency that they let it go?
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, there wasn't actually I don't think there was as much in it as there was the week before. There wasn't the headbutting, there wasn't hands on the throat or in the area. So, it was a couple of guys having a bit of push and shove. The game had already finished.
Because if you watch it back after they came back from commercial, they showed the clip of, I think it was Neville getting bowled over. So yeah. I'm surprised that by the standard they were going by the week before that something wasn't said or it wasn't dealt with further.
Yeah, well, let's wait and see. I mean, the match review committee could still pull it up. But I don't think the severity was nowhere near as bad as the Pennington incident the week before.
I just brought it up for a consistency point of view. Like, with these incidents, it's been very inconsistent so far this season, and going into that final third or final quarter, excuse me, whatever it is, I can't remember off the top of my head. I feel that they need to be more consistent, especially going into that final series, whoever makes it, whether we make it or not.
Yeah, and Durrow came out during the week, and he was talking about the fact that bigger teams get the rub of the green and the Knicks are quite often on the wrong side of calls. So once again, that may have been the thing, but I don't think there wasn't as much heat in what happened last night. It was kind of a bit of push and shove, but nowhere near the not as bad as the week before.
Right. Now going back to the game, we had Oscar Zawada score that goal for us. And then a lot of the first 20 minutes was very slow, methodical, which I noticed. Maybe the first half an hour. And then, they started revving it up a few levels after that, I noticed.
Mm.
So I wondered, what do you think the reason was to start really slow and then build it, and then go for that lots of attacking play? Now they only got one goal out of all their effort. They could have got a whole lot more.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think the key to that match and the philosophy that the Knicks had was possession wins, and so they tried to keep the ball as much as they could, knowing that Brisbane would be tired. Interestingly, though, early on, like even in the what was it? It was pretty early on. The third minute. Yeah, it was the third minute. Yeah, because the Knicks had an early corner, and then Brisbane had managed to get the ball, and they put a long bomb through, and so they were trying to catch us on the counter each time. So I think that might have had an effect on the pace of the game. The Knicks having to be aware that Brisbane were looking to counter with the long ball quite a bit. Could we have had more goals? Possibly, probably. But that defeat as everyone knows, that the Brisbane defensive unit is absolutely incredible. That's only their second time they've lost at home this season. So Brisbane at home are very, very hard to beat, and to take them down is quite a big achievement. And if Brisbane hadn't have had that midweek game in Perth, they possibly more likely would have been a 1-1 draw rather than a 1-0 win to the Knicks.
And what did you think of Sale's performance after the previous week?
Oh, Ollie Sale is interestingly, someone pointed out that Ollie has given up the captain's armband, which is a good thing, and his game his performance has improved. So whether those two things are directly related or not, or whether that was a cause of him not being so great, don't know. But Ollie Sale's just immense, absolutely immense. His saves, his cat-like reflexes, his vision, his ability to waste time when he needs to, all the hallmarks of a fantastic goalkeeper.
Because a lot of people were saying, and I don't know if you agree with it or not, that the first portion of the season for him was quite poor. I never thought that, but a lot of people that I spoke to, a lot of communication that I saw on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so on, didn't really rate him as highly as last season.
No, and I think, like we saw last week after the Sydney game, Ollie came out and openly admitted himself that he hadn't been playing at the same level as he was last season. And so he needed to step it up. And so that's what he's doing. So some of those comments, I think poor is a bit rough, but now that he's back and he's got his head back and screwed on and he's fully focused, he is absolutely immense. And I am just wondering how long we're going to keep him, how long until he gets snapped up by someone else, another UK team or someone in Europe. It's got to happen. I think it's going to happen before sooner rather than later.
Before the end of this window that we're currently in?
I think he'll stay for now. I'm hoping that he'll stay and play through the finals. But I'm thinking, probably once we hit the off season, I think there could be a lot of there'll be some agents and clubs who'll come in swooping in for him. That's my hope, because I think he's class, absolutely class.
Speaking of the window, on the men's side, there's talk that they are going to use the Ben Waine money for a defensive signing rather than attacking signing. Thoughts on that?
Oh, totally agree. So, last night we had, Scott Laws came in and played, and Scott's okay. He's not fantastic. Wooten the week before.
Wooten, you're thinking of whatever, I don't know first name, but it's not Scott. But
Laws. Yeah. Laws was kind of, he's all right. He's a good player, but he's not fantastic. Wooten has had one superb game, which was last week, but he doesn't have the same impact as, say, Scott Taylor used to have. What's his name? Bloody Taylor. So we are definitely lacking in that back four. Last night, Clayton Lewis and Tim Payne were running the back, and they're doing a fantastic job, but we really do need a solid number 3 or number 4 at the back to shore up our defences.
And another bit of our club menu, it looks like we're going to get the announcement about the all-white coat this week. So, and I'm using this in the news segment because Ufi's in the running. So, do you reckon he gets it?
Well, having seen that other coaches, high profile, have taken roles elsewhere or are unavailable, I think Ufi I think he's got a very, very strong chance. And there was a lot of discussion previously that New Zealand football and the Knicks want to repair that relationship and get that working properly. So, and Ufi seems like the most logical choice to me. So, I think he's got I'd be pretty confident if I was him.
And do you reckon they go for the double model, the double coach model, like they did with, like we spoke about before Christmas with Herbert a few years ago, or do you reckon that we get a new coach and Ufi goes on his way?
No, I think we can do the double. I think Ufi could do the double for 2 years. I mean, the World Cup's only just finished. New Zealand's goal will be to be in the World Cup in 4 years' time. If Ufi got a 2-year contract, he could come in, serve that out for the first 2 years, and then New Zealand, and then see how we go with holding both contracts, and then see where we go from there. So I think he could do both jobs. It depends on how many more games New Zealand football is able to secure for the men.
Because the problem was with the double model the last time is that it worked for the first, like, as you said, the first little while, and then after a while, Herbert found it really hard and ended up having to leave one or the other and eventually both. So I'm a bit worried about that burnout for Ufi as well.
Yeah, part of the problem though was that Ricky Herbert he played his favourites. He had his favourite players, and he wasn't. I don't think he was able to differentiate between the two roles so well. I think there was too much overlap. Whereas I think Ufi's he's a little bit more. I think he's more able. He would be more able to do that, and I think an initial 2-year contract would give him time to figure out if he could do it or not. I think Ricky Herbert was an interesting example, but I don't think it was common. I think Ricky just had, he did have burnout, and he had a very particular way that he wanted the game played, and it didn't really suit everyone. So, yeah, he picked players that he knew would work with his system, whereas I think Ufi's a little bit more flexible in the way that he gets his teams set up.
Have you got any other bits of men's news that you want to touch on, or anything, or bits of the game that I've missed, or anything?
No. I'm just again. Ollie Sale had a fantastic game. I picked Zavada as player of the match. He played 89 minutes. He almost played the entire game. He was fantastic. Clayton Lewis and Tim Payne were running the team. They played really well. Barbarousis and Laws, and Jan Sass, I felt they just were under the radar. They just weren't contributing. So they need to have a look at where they fit in. Ben Old was absolutely superb. Ben Old he's a force. He's brilliant. So hopefully he can grow into having a permanent starting position in the team.
You got to do the review on Jeff's behalf, the written review. What was that like? Because I know you done that.
Oh, no, I did the written review, but I kept it a little bit simpler than Jeff does it, because And so, that's pretty much how I scored it. I think it was definitely a match of two very, very good teams. Brisbane very good defensively, the Knicks very good controlling possession, and in the end, it ended up being a 1-0 to the Knicks, which I think was a pretty fair outcome when taken in the context of everything that happened during the last week.
So Nick game up for the men is Central Coast with players such as Cummings, Silvera.
Yeah, Mariners are really hot. Mariners are going to be hard. Are going to be a tough ask. Thankfully, we're playing in Wellington. Hopefully, it's windy and rainy, and that puts them off.
Cummings now. We'll talk about this more next week, obviously, but just a quick preview. Cummings is a great player. I really liked him last time he was here. I'm really surprised he's still in Australia because he's just too good.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think he's another one who'll be, let's wait and see how long he's in the league for. I think there could be bigger things coming his way.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't go to Heart with everyone else. Go to Heart with all the other Mariners boys. Yeah. Go to Hearts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just a little mention. Ulysses Davila he had an absolute blinder for the Bulls yesterday. Bulls went down 2-1, but Ulysses Davila was fantastic. So ex-Knicks, still just absolutely superb player. Fantastic to watch.
Oh, we forgot the most important note of all. The Wayne train has arrived in Plymouth.
Mm-hmm. That was a superb header that he got. So brilliant way to start.
First goal for Plymouth Argyle. Be interesting to see if he helps them get to the championship. But anyway, I think we'll leave it there for today.
Cool.
So like and subscribe to this video, and we'll see you on the next one.